The tempest surrounding her leadership emerged last fall when Nafisa Collier, one of the league's biggest stars, said in an explosive end-of-season interview that Engelbert was negligent in her governance and the WNBA had, quote, the worst leadership in...
When one of your biggest superstars publicly declares that the league has the worst leadership in the entire world, you know the ship isn't just taking on water. It is actively sinking.
Right here, multiple high-ranking team sources believe the 2026 season will be Cathy Engelbert's last.
You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts...
All right, Black and White.
That isn't just internet noise or hot take speculation. Multiple high-ranking team sources are now indicating that the 2026 season will likely be Cathy Engelbert's last as WNBA Commissioner. The breaking reports coming out of ESPN signal a massive internal collapse that has been building behind closed doors for months. But the real question every fan needs to ask right now isn't whether she should be gone. It's why this breaking point is happening now, and what kind of power struggle is about to take her place.
This brand new article from Alyssa Philippou has dropped this morning, and this is very interesting. So, right here, in the darkest days of the past 12 months, full of public vitriol and contentious labor negotiation, Cathy Engelbert leaned on teachings and advice she gathered over the 40-plus years in corporate America.
Look at how this is being framed. While the front office points to 4 decades of corporate credentials and executive leadership, the reality on the ground tells a completely different story.
Quote, it's easy to lead in good times, Engelbert told ESPN in a phone interview last week. Where leaders really emerge, in my experience, is when you're your best in your darkest moments and you don't give up. She's been terrible. She's been terrible. One of her number one problems is not publicly heading trouble off at the pass. And I'm talking about having a press conference, getting in front of people, and taking the bullets. She refuses to do it.
That failure to step up and take responsibility publicly has become the defining hallmark of her tenure. When a crisis hits, an executive is supposed to stand in front of the cameras, field the tough questions, and shield the league.
Engelbert has navigated numerous challenges in her 7 years as WNBA Commissioner, from 2 collective bargaining negotiations to a global pandemic and social unrest, to inheriting a business with, in her terms, quote, no money, no scale, no capability.
She inherited a business model that, by her own admission, had no scale and no financial capability. Nobody is denying that the baseline business metrics and corporate sponsorships went up over her 7 years at the helm.
What should be a celebratory summer of the league's 30th season of the WNBA's brilliant star power, you can tell this is ESPN, and of the making through a strenuous labor negotiations with a historic agreement, has felt like one of aspiration. Players, teams, fans consistently and loudly voice frustrations over officiating, divisive discourse, and increased harassment towards players seem never-ending.
Think about the absurdity of this position. The league should be celebrating unprecedented viewership, packed arenas, and historic cultural relevance. Instead, every single week is consumed by officiating controversies, toxic public discourse, and severe player dissatisfaction. When the officiating gets so unhinged and consistent non-calls start turning games into physical wrestling matches, leadership isn't managing a sport anymore. They're babysitting a circus.
An in-game incident last month when the Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas pushed her fist into Caitlin Clark's throat especially galvanized fans and critics. Even the league's retroactive assessment of Thomas getting a flagrant 2 and a 1-game suspension turned into a spectacle. Reports said NBA Commissioner Adam Silver stepped in to advise Engelbert that Thomas should be suspended.
Consider how embarrassing that moment truly was for the office of the commissioner. You have an in-game physical assault where a veteran player puts a fist directly into the throat of the league's primary marquee star, Caitlin Clark. And how does the commissioner handle it? She doesn't. Reports indicate NBA Commissioner Adam Silver literally had to step in from the outside and advise Engelbert that a suspension was required. When the head of another league has to step over your desk to enforce basic player safety and discipline in your own sport, your authority is effectively gone.
2 weeks later, a group of congressional Republicans sent a letter to Engelbert demanding accountability for multiple attacks on Clark, who increasingly became a political lightning rod. All of it, plus Engelbert's perceived absence publicly and in league circles, has renewed the referendum on her leadership.
When congressional representatives are sending formal letters to your office demanding accountability for safety on the court, you are no longer just dealing with a sports management problem. You are dealing with an executive breakdown of epic proportions. More than 20 key league stakeholders, including owners, front office executives, and players who spoke on condition of anonymity, have reached the exact same conclusion. The business might have grown, but Engelbert is completely incapable of navigating the modern demands of this league.
Quote, the hole has gotten so deep, said Jeff Hunt, a specialist in crisis and reputation management, who has previously worked with the MLB, ATP, WTA, and the PGA Tour. She's in a place now where I don't really know what she does. Yikes.
When prominent crisis and reputation management specialists who have worked with Major League Baseball, the PGA Tour, and the ATP publicly state that they don't even know what a commissioner is doing anymore, the institutional trust is totally shattered. The hole isn't just deep, it is bottomless.
Right here, multiple high-ranking team sources believe the 2026 season will be Cathy Engelbert's last. Failure to develop sufficient relationship equity. Multiple, quote, find it curious she hasn't prioritized developing a closer relationship with Caitlin Clark. No shit. Reactive approach to emerging crises that are impacting the WNBA's optics and brand. Quote, problematic style and approach.
Here is where the mismanagement becomes undeniable. The WNBA was handed an absolute golden goose in Caitlin Clark, a generational talent who brought millions of new viewers, historic television ratings, and massive economic engine power to a league that had struggled for decades to find consumer leverage. And what did executive leadership do with that opportunity? They completely failed to build relationship equity with her, adopting a passive, reactive stance while letting the surrounding narratives burn out of control. Any competent sports commissioner in history would have made protecting, promoting, and partnering with that star their #1 daily priority. Instead, team executives reportedly found it mind-boggling that the front office barely prioritized a relationship with her at all.
It sounds like she's done. Which, prior to the CBA being done, there was reports out there that the only reason that she hadn't been let go was because they were too far into CBA negotiations. Even at the time that Collier called them out, there was like, no, they're going to let her see the CBA negotiations through, and then after that, she was probably going to get shown the door.
The only reason this leadership transition didn't happen months ago during the height of player protests was the ongoing collective bargaining agreement negotiations. League stakeholders knew they couldn't strip the top seat in the middle of crucial financial structuring. But now that those labor negotiations are wrapping up, the bill is finally coming due. The institutional cover is gone, and the executive suite is officially out of excuses.
By the way, there's already old WNBA fans that are scared a straight white male is going to get this job. Let the league burn. I mean, seriously. It's ridiculous. That should not be a priority. Any of that. Get the most qualified and right person for the job. If that's a straight white male, suck it. Put them in the job. Get over it. If that's the best person for the job, get over it.
Now comes the next major ideological battleground that could determine whether this league thrives or completely self-destructs. The moment word got out that Engelbert was likely stepping down after 2026, corporate identity politics immediately rushed in to fill the void. Certain factional voices are already expressing outrage over the mere possibility that a candidate might be selected purely based on merit competence, and business management experience rather than demographic checklists. If this league wants to survive the massive cultural and economic shift currently taking place, the mandate for the next leader cannot be tied to political posturing or corporate identity metrics. The primary criteria for the job must be finding the most relentless, competent, and steady crisis manager available, regardless of who they are.
Just let Adam Silver oversee this. I mean, seriously. Do they need a commissioner? Adam Silver has very publicly expressed a lot of love, admiration, etc. for Caitlin Clark. Let him just take the job over. He can do both jobs. Sounds like she's done. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out.
When you look at the track record of how Adam Silver has publicly handled the rise of new talent, championed media growth, and managed discipline, it raises an obvious structural question for the future of the organization. Does the WNBA even need an independent commissioner running a parallel executive apparatus? Or should operations simply be integrated directly under NBA oversight to fix the officiating, streamline corporate strategy, and protect player investments? Cathy Engelbert's projected departure in 2026 marks the end of an era defined by rapid economic expansion paired with total administrative failure. The business grew, but the leadership collapsed under the weight of its own incompetence and inability to handle modern pressure. Is letting Cathy Engelbert step down after the 2026 season the right move to save the league? Or will a new commissioner just inherit the exact same structural dysfunction? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, drop your take down below, and subscribe to the channel for the realest coverage in sports commentary. Until next time, peace out.